requested everyone practice. So, gently bring your mind's attention to the seat you're sitting on. Head, neck, and trunk aligned and straight. Feet firmly placed on the ground. Hands resting gently on your thighs. Eyes softly closed. Withdrawing from all other times and places. And bringing the mind to the here and now. Systematically relax. Relax your forehead. Relax your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Relax your entire body. Head to toes and toes to head. Notice as you relax, there is a slight separation between the object, which is your body, and subject, which you are. When you practice this relaxation many times in the day, you will intuitively know, I am not the body. Bringing your awareness to your breath. Observe. Is the exhalation going from the navel to the nostrils? And inhalation, nostrils to the navel. This would mean you're breathing diaphragmatically. And diaphragmatic breathing leads to a calm and quiet mind. Let your mind rest on your breath. What in you is observing the breath? What in you is observing the mind? Stay there. Taking a gentle breath in, we will chant Om together 3 times. Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Namaste and welcome. Please let us see your very sweet faces if you don't mind. Release your... thank you, Ujjwala. And now let us start with the exercise, the homework. How many of you actually practiced it? Put your hands up. Oh, very good. I'm happy to hear Badri has practiced. Was there a difference, Badri? Can I ask you?
It was. I've been actually trying a lot of 3-minute meditation. So yeah, it really brings a lot of perspective to a whole different range of issues that we encounter on a day-to-day basis, right? So yeah, suddenly I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he recently moved jobs. Or I started telling him a few things, and then he was like, what classes are you attending? Itna gyan, and you're telling me the right thing and whatnot. So it just came naturally. I don't know. So yeah.
Wow, that's very encouraging. And
Yeah.
I must say that you seem to be one of the very sincere young men who are attending. So I feel very sort of fulfilled that something going across at this age is very important for you. At our age, we naturally are better off because of our experience in life. And oftentimes, I used to tell the younger generation that please let me teach you this Bhagavad Gita and so on. And I know that one of my daughters-in-law, not immediate daughters-in-law, but otherwise they'll be very angry with me. When did we say this to you? But one of them said, Chitti means auntie. We'll do all this after 60. I said, oh, and I withdrew. I thought to myself, she'll be asking for a comb when she's gone bald, So that won't be very helpful. Whereas right now, if you have the right perspective, the rest of your life is going to be so beautiful. So beautiful. So
I'd just like to thank Pavanji also for his guidance that he gave me when he was here in Melbourne.
okay, y'all met. I heard Rama told me this is so very nice. See, so when you come to India, you have to meet all of us as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to know: did you offer food? Did you offer the food to the Lord at meal times? Is it a
I
habit?
generally do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was more conscious also.
More conscious, and you were more conscious in the sense that you were more aware that what are you doing. And
Yeah.
I particularly wanted you to practice that because you said that was the problem you had while you were working. So every time you offer the food while you're working, Whatever you put into your mouth, actually you are doing it. Why? Because divinity resides within you. So who are you giving the food to? You are giving it to not. So now I'm going to ask you that trick question, not only just you, but this is open to all. What are the different ways one can offer food to the Lord? What are the different ways? Anyone can answer.
It could be the actual food itself. It could be any work that you're trying to do.
No, talking only about food.
Yeah. It's about food plus any activity that you're trying to do. The results itself could be offered. If again, if you're probably donating some money, but you understand it's eventually going back to the Supreme Lord, and it could be one of those factors as well.
No, restrict yourself to food. I'm talking about food means khana, what you put in your mouth. What are the different ways you can offer that food to the Lord?
Is it a trick question?
Yeah, it's a trick question.
One way would be to offer it to Atithi.
Yes.
Yes, Atithi.
God is.
That,
What?
yeah, and people who are hungry. I mean, that could be a practical way of.
Maybe feeding animals too.
Yes, that's what we discussed.
Yeah.
Type of that we talked about, that is the Bhuta Yajna. Yes, offering to the crow and all those kinds of things, that to the hungry dog or to the birds, that Bhuta Yajna, we offer food. They are all God, is it not? In so many myriad forms. So the meaning of Atithi is the one who comes without tithi, that is without appointment. So he has arrived. Now what are you going to do? So you can offer food to him, you can offer drink to him. So there are these various. Lord is in what we tend to forget, or what we tend to imagine, is that there is a Lord somewhere in the universe, or maybe on the altar, and I have offered Naivedya to him, and I have offered this food, that forgetting completely that it is nothing but God. You are God as much as the food is God. That's why we say Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir, Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. This is what we are going to learn in this chapter. That means everything is Brahman, everything is God. There is nothing other than God. The mistake that we are making and the illusion from which we are suffering is that we feel we are separate and we have to fight and we have to get somewhere and we are so stressed about this or that and everything. Why? Because I am doing it. If I am doing it, I have limited intellect, I have limited capacities, I have limited scope, with the result that I'm automatically confining myself, separating myself from that limitless power that I truly am. I'm not saying you will become powerful if you have this attitude, but you will certainly let go of that doership slowly and surely, knowing full well that you in your limited capacity are not going to be able to, first of all, the limitation has been put by yourself. this is an upadhi we wear. I've worn this jacket of a body. So I am a female. I am of this age. I am of this intellect. And I can speak this much. Whereas this is the instrument of God. It is the form in which has been taken by God. And therefore, and because the form has been taken by God, he has myriad forms. That is why he is playing with himself, is actually the fact. But doesn't matter, while we are still attached and while we are still considering ourselves as such, let us try to at least expand our awareness to the animals, plants, insects, and other human beings as being the form of divinity to whom we can offer our not only our food or whatever we have, but also a lot of our mind, and do what is Shramadan, that is serve them, other dan, that is Dravya dan, that is giving materials, and so on. So now today what I'm going to do is actually introduce chapter 4 to you, because it is titled as Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Now the reason why we are going, first we discussed many shlokas in chapter 2, because jnana was primary. Unless you have the jnana that divinity resides in all, unless you have the jnana how to perform action, how can you understand what karma yoga is? So then we came to the chapter 3, which was described and discussed various features of karma yoga. There are some 18 features which have been put up on the WhatsApp group also. And we now know that what karma yoga entails, what are the prerequisites for karma yoga, and what are the ways in which we can practice karma yoga. Now, what is this karma sannyas which Sri Krishna is introducing in this subject, in this chapter? Further, the next chapter is karma sannyasa only, but we are not going there because we have limited time, and if we can gather enough understanding of karma yoga with some amount of jnana and buddhi, then we will have served the purpose of these 12 classes. So let me introduce chapter 4 to you. And here I want to read, because I think the introduction written to this chapter in my notes is really quite beautiful. So Sri Krishna has now got Arjuna. He has got him out of his despondency and explained 2 pathways of self-realization. And in the following 3 shlokas, the 2 pathways that we have discussed are Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga. And that is why in the 3rd chapter, Arjuna asked, then please, why are you, if Jnana Yoga is going to lead me to self-realization, why are you persisting in entailing me to take part in this gory war? I would rather go along the pathway, the Jnana Marga, and not enter this war. And then he has explained how the Pravrutti Marga and the Nivrutti Marga. Now he is continuing. Sri Krishna is emboldened by his disciple who is showing signs of having understood what is Karma Yoga. He has got out of his despondency. So now Sri Krishna wants to tell him something more. And so he says, in the following 3 shlokas, Sri Krishna explains how he gave this most secret and sacred teaching to Vivaswan, who taught his son Manu, who then gave it to Ishwaku in the ancient times. It, however, got corrupted, and he therefore came down again to share it with his dearest devotee and friend Parantapa. Parantapa is another name for Arjuna. It means destroyer of foes. So naturally, Arjuna wondered how Sri Krishna, albeit a few years older than him, could ever have taught Vivaswan. Vivasva is another name for the sun god. Vasa is to abide. Vivasva is to abide in a special manner. And the sun god illumines, nourishes, and indeed enlivens us all. So he is therefore called Vivaswan. He was married to whom? He was married to Sanjana. And Sanjana was also called Saranya. She was the daughter of the sage Vishwakarma. Now, Sanjana found his intense heat quite unbearable. It reminds me of the season at present. It is becoming really quite unbearable even here in Pune. I used to think when I used to live in Dubai that it is raining heat, and the same thing is happening here now. So it's nearly 40 degrees. So what Sanjana would have done with the Lord's son, I have no idea. So she ran away to her maternal home and she left her shadow behind. And that shadow is called Chaya. And this Chaya, then she gave birth to 3 children and all that. And then naturally Sanjana got very upset and came back. But that's another story. So this son, the first son, Chaya's first son was Manu, the progenitor of man, as he brought forth the human race. His wife was Shatarupa, who bore him many sons, and the firstborn to whom this esoteric knowledge was given by Manu was Ishvaku. Ikshvaku. It's very difficult to pronounce, but it is Ikshvaku. That it is in this lineage that Sri Rama was born. And Iksha means eyes and Vaka means speech. So Ikshvaku is one of those who has control over both his Jnanendriyas and his Karmendriyas. Jnanendriyas are designated by the eye because that is one of the most powerful of the cognitive senses that we have. And Vaka is the most powerful active sense that we have. So that is the Karmendriya. Now, the very name of this chapter is Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So herein is described how karma is to be done, renouncing the doership. See, this is what I was trying to indicate in the beginning, that when we do this meditation, we start to separate ourselves from the usual identity with which we function in this world. We are sure that we are the body, that we are this mind, and thereby we transact in this world, and everybody treats us in the same manner, and we treat everybody else also similarly. But once we get to the witness mode, then we realize that this body and mind is but an instrument of our activity, whatever action we are undertaking. And therefore, this jnana has to be once that jnana is there, then to renounce the fruit of the action becomes much easier. So here he is telling us that how we can renounce this doership and how it is only by jnana that moksha can be attained. 2 other topics are covered here in this chapter, which we will briefly touch. One is the Avatara Vada. See, it is important for us also to understand a little bit about, I know that most of us here are Hindus, and most of us will believe, although we probably don't have proof, that there is reincarnation and the theory of karma is valid. Actually, logically speaking, no other theory can at all sort of explain the disparities at birth of many of ourselves. And it cannot also be a random event. I'm finding several videos now. Suddenly, one of the biggest scientists of our time is continuously talking about what is the evidence in the universe in astrophysics, which proves that there is a God, Ishvara. So I will forward one of those videos to you on the WhatsApp, But it is very interesting to understand that we are actually being validated in that if there is a God and there is so much accuracy and so much order in the cosmos, the meaning of the word cosmos is order, and there is no chaos, our birth cannot be a random event. So if we believe in that theory of karma, then we have to understand what is an avatara, why Sri Krishna had to take birth, and then we will be able also to perform our actions, which we are now going to undertake whenever with this knowledge. Then our actions will become much more, less binding to ourselves and much more renounced, much more easy to perform and without stress and without any anxiety. So that being the aim, let us now see what does he say. Shri Krishna being the avatar, he says, and yet he reinforces yajna, which is what the whole universe is engaged in. So the Vedic teaching regarding the life of pravrutti, that is activity, and nivrutti, retirement, is the yoga that the Lord is discussing in this particular chapter. So he is combining the pravrutti and nivrutti. Nivrutti is from the doership, renouncing the doership, and pravrutti is continuing to do your action, continuing to do your duties, which you are where you are placed in by your prarabdha karma. So all of this is just so well sequenced and expressed that it leaves one in awe of the intelligence of our ancient scriptures and the characters therein. So Arjuna is naturally confused as to how could Sri Krishna have been the one to impart this knowledge to Vivaswan. He is at liberty to ask the Lord, for the Lord is his friend. Nowadays, something really touches my heart, because nowadays, that there are a lot of enlightened beings in the West, and they do not allow themselves to be glorified as gurus or sadgurus and so on and so forth. They do not want any hierarchy. They say, we are just your friend. So I think the best relationship with the Lord is that of the friend. And here Arjuna is one of his dearest friends. And that is why Sri Krishna is imparting the knowledge to Arjuna. Why did he not select Yudhishthir? Why did he not select Bhima? Because one night when he was staying in their palace, Arjuna was found muttering something. And when he went near, he heard only the word Krishna, Krishna, Krishna coming from him. So he knew how devoted Krishna was to him. And that is why their close relationship has brought this beautiful scripture to us. And we could have the same relationship with the Lord. So the two share this extraordinary relationship. And the story goes, this is the story that I have already told you. So Arjuna could thus confide his weakness also. At the beginning of the war, could he tell anybody that I don't want to fight here, mere ko to bhag jana hai? Can he tell Yudhishthir like that? No. But he could tell Sri Krishna. So that is what I'm saying, that if we have this relationship with the Lord and tell him all our weaknesses, all our faults, and then he shows us the way out through the scripture all the time, and we could go back and read and listen and learn. So Arjuna was ready, receptive, and respectful to receive this teaching. What has Shankara said? It is only when possessed of the strength of this yoga that they can protect the Brahmanas. These were all Kshatriyas, Their job was to protect the country. Their job was to protect the Brahmanas. Why? Because the knowledge is with the Brahmanas. And without knowledge, action has no meaning. I mean, the same Rajoguna which drives you into doing action can drive you very easily in the wrong path. In fact, more often that is what it does. But for the jnana and the viveka that the Brahmanas impart to you, how to behave. So this spiritual class has to be protected. And when the spiritual and ruling classes are well maintained, it is possible to maintain the world. That yoga is imperishable because of its imperishable results. Indeed, moksha, the fruit of this yoga of complete devotion to right knowledge, never perishes. Swami Veda, I remember once told, we were all lamenting that the Nalanda University was burnt down or destroyed, and so many of our Vedas and Upanishads are lost, and so many philosophies have disappeared, and so on and so forth. And he said, don't worry, don't lament. As long as there is one person who is self-realized, all that knowledge in the world can come back, can come right back. So it becomes necessary, it is imperishable, but yet it is important that we protect it. So it is quite possible that Sri Krishna deliberately leads Arjuna into this confusion. For the logical question that Arjuna might now put to him would be, how am I to know? Notice how he humbly asks, not with any doubt on his part, but would like his ignorance to be removed, that it was you who imparted this knowledge to Vivaswan when you are of recent origin and they are buried in antiquity. Now the Bhagavad Gita rolls on. Sri Krishna now starts to reveal who he is and answers many a spiritual doubt of Arjuna and explains later the mechanism of manifestation and the functioning of the universe. We are now in for a treat. Discussed below are selected shlokas. So we are going to select the shlokas. So what are the qualifications that a teacher should have? He should be Brahmanishtha. That means the teacher should be totally dedicated, established and enlightened. He should have kama hatataha, not destroyed by it. He should not have any kama. He should be a kama. That means he should not have any desire. What kind of desire does a teacher ever have? Usually teachers will have this desire to be famous, to be appreciated, to get some money out of it, and so on. But the teacher should not have any such kama. Then he is qualified to teach. And finally, Shrotriya, that is, he should be well versed in the Vedas. When these qualifications are met with, the knowledge that you will get will be will pierce your heart, and the ignorance can then drop. So where we are constantly invoking our Guru Swami Ram to teach us, and Sri Krishna, we are bowing at his feet and asking him to reveal himself to us, so that if we are humbly dedicating ourselves to this study, there is no reason why their physical absence should prevent us from getting to the truth. So with this, we come to the shloka number 5. Because Arjuna has asked him this question, how is it that you are of recent origin and you could have taught Vivaswan? And Sri Krishna replies, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani na tvam vedha parantapaha. Sri Bhagwan said, Arjuna, you and I have passed through many births. I remember them all. You do not remember, O chastiser of foes. So Arjuna's confusion is a natural one. But because at the moment of death, you see what happens. Death happens to the body. We are made up of 3 shariras. The sthula, sukshma, and the karana sharira. Now, sthula sharira we are very familiar with. That is this particular food body, as it is called, along with the senses. That means the sense organs. And the subtle body, even at this moment, you will say, oh, we can't see the subtle body. What are you talking about? And so on. This very moment, you are feeling the subtle body. What is the subtle body? The subtle body is made up of your mind, your breath, and these tanmatras of these senses. That means the functions of these senses. Like the function of the ear, which is in this sthula body, is hearing. So that hearing is what is in the sukshma sharira. So we are all experiencing sukshma sharira simultaneously as we are experiencing the sthula sharira. What is then the karana sharira? Karana sharira is the one which is the cause. Karana means cause. So it is the cause of our birth. What do I mean by causal body? That is the causal body or karana sharira. That is what remains with you at the time of deep sleep, when your physical body is not being experienced, your subtle body is not experienced because you're not even dreaming. And in the deep sleep, you feel so rested because the ego is not functioning. So when you wake up, you say, I had a very good sleep. So ignorance, however, it's not a state of awareness. Therefore, ignorance is considered bliss. Because this causal body, you have nothing. There is nothing you are aware of. So naturally, it's all great. That is what this Karana Sharira is. And to the enlightened being, even that Karana Sharira is pierced. That is Bheda of all the three Shariras. And he is aware when he is asleep. So that is the state of the enlightened being. And this death, which is just a habit of the body, what happens is we feel that it is severing our existence. We feel we will not be. Therefore, we are afraid. And this list of fears goes on. Because we are afraid of this, we are afraid of that, we are afraid of not where we will go. If some people are afraid of hell and heaven, some people are afraid of being alive even, because what tomorrow brings, we don't know. And these fears are endless. But in truth, that fear all ends up, if you will analyze, to the base fear of losing this body. We are so attached to the body. So this subtle body is the one that is severed at the time of death from the physical body. Therefore, the conscious mind is no longer. What are all these people discovering? All these scientists, so many centers in the brain, and this thought is evoking that sensation and this and that. They are actually discovering because of the fact that the conscious mind is related very closely to the brain. But it is the latent tendencies and the vasanas and the samskaras which come up suddenly, and you don't know from where they come up and why we react to certain situations, why we have these very strong, sometimes dislikes, why we don't, when we meet somebody, we just like them and we don't know why. So all of these are the latent tendencies which go with you in the subtle body. So this subtle body is what takes birth along with the causal body. And that is what Sri Krishna is referring to. So he says, thou knowest them not, but I know them all. And then he says that he has come into existence only by his own yoga maya. The karma which applies to the unenlightened being does not obviously apply to Sri Krishna. So we'll go on to shlokas 7 and 8. Yada yada, he's explaining how he comes. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata Abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham. Arjuna, whenever righteousness is on the decline and unrighteousness in the ascendant, then I body myself forth. And Shloka 8, Paritranaya, why do I body myself? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkrutam dharma samsthapanasthaya sambhavami yuge yuge, for the protection of the virtuous, for the extirpation of the evildoers, and for establishing dharma on a firm footing, I manifest myself from age to age. So Sri Krishna speaks not as a personality, but as the source of universal love and truth. Whenever there is a downfall in righteousness and an abundance of corruption and wickedness, the Lord manifests to uplift the lovers of knowledge and truth. Can you imagine? We are those. We are the lovers of knowledge and the lovers of truth. So he is born already in our hearts to protect us. So unfortunately, this verse is often misused by people who are lazy and expect that the incarnation will come and save them. It doesn't work like that. This is a false notion and can give rise to many pseudo avatars who proclaim themselves to be avatars. So the Lord is enthroned in every heart and comes to life in a blessed individual in every country, every age, to bring humanity back to the spiritual path. So it is said that the Kalki avatar is none other than the change in consciousness. And very many times, at least I think there is a video on YouTube which I have made in March 2020, and it was about the COVID. And to my mind, this change in the consciousness of the earth is a part of the Kalki avatar. And it was a manthan that was happening. That is what I have said in that video. And I didn't know whether I will survive the pandemic or not. But that whatever is happening, it had brought about a tremendous change in the consciousness of this entire earth. So therefore, we don't have to wait for somebody he's supposed to be coming on a horse with a sword and all of that. So virus has come in the form of Kalki. But anyway, I hope that we learn from it. So shloka number 10 is the last shloka that we are going to discuss today. And that is Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mamupashritaha Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Mad Bhava Magataha. So completely rid of attachment, fear and anger, wholly absorbed in me. Just for a moment, surrender your entire mind at the feet of the Lord. Let us experiment and notice your fears, your anxieties will vanish. For you have surrendered completely to the Lord. So come what may, it is thy will be done and not my will. And when you are absorbed in the contemplation of the Lord, how can there be any fear, any anger? So purified by the penance of wisdom, many have become one with me, he says, even in the past. So in this verse, Sri Krishna is asserting that it is possible for the relative I, that is the small I, to become the pure absolute I. How? By merging into the universal one, by merging into the Ishvara. So by giving up desire, which is the seed for rebirth, one overcomes the misery of birth and death. Throw away, he says, these three enemies: selfish attachment, fear and anger. For this, meditation can be of enormous help. Only when I'm free of these three, the Lord will fill me with his own love, his own wisdom, his own beauty. So why do we say at the end of the class, Tanmi Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu? What are we praying for? That our mind be filled completely with auspicious thoughts. And what are those auspicious thoughts? Those thoughts are of the Lord. So he says his own beauty, manmaya, filled with me, madbhavam agataha, he enters into my being. So karma yoga, which is selfless action, is said to result in emotional purification. And this is very easy to see, because if you are looking at everybody who is coming in contact with you as a form of the divine, this is what I was told by my Guru Swami Muktanand when I was, I think I've told you this story before, but it bears repetition. That I was in the ashram, I was 21 years old, I had received the results of my exams, and I had stood first in the university in surgery. And I ran to him all thrilled and proud. And he, of course, patted my back and he said, theory mein to gold medal mil gaya hai. Abhi practical mein dekhenge. जो भी कोई तुम्हारे पास आए, उसको रुकना नारायण समझ के उसकी सेवा करना. You serve him as though he is the Lord in the form of a sick person. Now imagine that today you have got the same Adesh through me of the Swami Muktanand, and you treat everybody who comes in your contact as though it is divinity indeed who has come. I don't mean to say that you will never get angry or something, but when your anger will also be beneficial to the opposite person. This is how you will be able to spiritualize every action that is going to happen through this your body and mind, through this body and mind. So the emotional purification is a given if you were to practice karma yoga and those tenets. And when we are free, when we are emotionally purified, then what happens? We get the capacity to recognize our own habit patterns which are detrimental to ourselves, and we are able to reverse them. And then we are not enslaved by them. We have the freedom to act according to what is the right, that is the Shreyas path. And then what happens is that we make newer and newer discoveries of what lies within us. Really, I tell you, this is experiential, that it is amazing that you discover that you have a, a spring of joy within, which you have never tapped. And why have you not tapped it? Because you're so entangled with the outside world. And you're treating the outside world as though it is separate from you, that its basis is not the same divinity, and you don't even consider that your basis is divinity as well. So, having said all of this, we have to make up our mind that since we have decided, so what is the aim of our life? Liberation. What is the objective of our life? That we should live every single day happily. How can we do that? By practicing karma yoga. And by practicing it in what manner? In the manner that has been discussed and described in great detail over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 classes that we have taken. Now we will be further discussing from in the next class all the different yajnas that he, how every action can become a yajna. He's kind of shows you, demonstrates to you. And he says that if you partake of the yajna, Sri Krishna says, and don't offer the food or whatever of that is to the Lord or to whomsoever, whichever deity you are doing the yajna for, then you are like a thief eating away the fruit, and that will be definitely a sin. So we will go through the yajnas that in this chapter and the jnana, and then ultimately he says that the Jnana Yajna is the most superior to all. And we'll come to that, why Jnana Yajna is considered the most superior. And then we shall, so next class, we will take the remaining selected shlokas of chapter 4 next Thursday. And then we will start the chapter, most likely 18 is what I'm thinking I will take. So that will be, this is our class 8, I think, 9, 10. It will take us to 11. If you all have any questions or summarizing or some, which may not be related to karma yoga as such, you can pose even those questions. I was thinking I will discuss, on one day I will definitely discuss the role of free will, because I think that is one of the contributory factors towards karma yoga and towards karma as such. So I can discuss these two topics. One is the doctrine of karma, and two is free will, is what I thought I would conclude our series with, if that's okay for Pavanji and all of you. Yeah. So I think that we'll conclude today. And if you have any questions, anything, doubts, if you want to discuss something, you are welcome. Next 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes. Rama seems to be thinking. No? So
I'm just waiting for.
I just wanted to comment. Oh, sorry.
Waiting for some clue to our homework. So I am very intently listening, very intently. Treating karenge hum. Homework.
Exactly, that's what I said. This was a great summary, and now I needed this revision. Everything now became encapsulated. Thank you.
It's a pill you take every morning to maintain your well-being. Then how do I start the day? You start the day thinking of the Lord, start the day thanking the Lord, and we seeing Him in everyone. That's good enough for today. Take home message. So maybe we should discuss every time take home messages. Right. Okay. Om asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrutyorma amritam gamaya. Om shanti shanti shanti. Tanme manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu. Tanme Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu. Tanme Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.